will call this meeting. Okay, so I will call this meeting to order of the Inland Wetland Board on July 25th, 2022. Let's start with introduction of the committee and officers. My name is Pat Parafor. I am chairperson of the committee, and I'm just kind of going to go in order of who I see. Nico, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, hey everybody. Nicholas Jordan, Inland Wetlands, Bethel.
Okay. Danielle?
You are muted.
Sorry. Danielle Monroe, Inland Wetlands alternate.
Awesome. Kevin?
Kevin Seaman, Inland Wetlands Commissioner, Bethel.
Okay. Pat?
Pat Sell, Commissioner, alternate.
Okay. All right. David?
Dave McCollum, Inland Wetlands agent.
And Mary?
Mary Churchill, recording secretary.
Okay, I do not see any other committee members. Am I missing anyone, Dave?
Not at this time, Patrick.
Okay, so going through the agenda here, next thing would be public hearings. I believe there are none.
That's correct.
Okay, next would be site plan reviews. Again, there are no site plan reviews.
That's correct. We do have an application under new business. That is where we are for items on the agenda tonight there.
All right, so let's skip right down to new business, and that is number 7 and 9 Good Hill Road, modification to previous Inland Wetland Commission approval, placement of fill material within regulated upland review area.
That's correct. And I'll just jump in here, Pat, because I think the onus was on land use department staff as to our meeting we had on June 25th. You guys had made a request for Cynthia Rabinowitz to submit a report affirming the findings of the applicant's soil scientist, excuse me, James McManus. Laurel Draper, I see that your hand's up, and you'll have a chance to speak. I wanted just to
yeah, we'll let Dave go, and then I'll hand it over to the applicant.
Thank you. So the report that Cynthia Rabinowitz submitted for your guys' review, I will put it up on the screen. Just let me know if you have any issues seeing it. Okay. So I don't want to read it verbatim, but it more or less states that the work that was done ex post facto by the applicant regarding the fill material that was placed along the property line for 7 and 9 Good Hill Road will not have a significant adverse short or long-term impact on the inland wetlands resources. And when she makes that comment, I believe she's referring to the off-site wetlands resources on 7 Good Hill Road. She further says, quote, I recommend no further encroachment occurs into the natural area to ensure continued density of the woodland, providing riparian buffer functions, end quote. Did you guys have any questions with what she gave for your review?
I do not. Does any of the committee members have any questions on that review?
I do not. That was pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Exactly.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, no questions here.
All right. So I'm going to turn it over to the applicant at this time. I believe Mrs. Draper, I'm not sure, Mr. Draper, I'm assuming you're in representation of the applicant. You're muted. Dave, do you have to unmute her? There you go.
No, I think I did it, right?
Okay, yep. I
got it. You got it.
Yeah, okay. The only problem is that Tim knew the meeting was coming on, and according to everything, you know, he went to the municipal center and showed up and found out that it was only a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
So he wants to be here and to listen to all of this. He's on his way home now. I don't know
Okay.
how or why it became, you know, a meeting to just a Zoom meeting at
Okay.
the last minute when he was, how did that happen?
So I had emailed him and Jim advising that today's meeting was going to be via Zoom.
When
the
did you,
land
when
use-
did you, when did you email him? Because
that
he said,
was this afternoon.
Well,
And
I am, he's on his way home from the municipal center, Ms. Draper.
yes, yes.
You know what? I have no problem. I hopefully the committee members don't either. It's only a couple of minutes. Tell them to drive safely, obviously.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah, I have no problem waiting for him because of the, you know, changing of everything.
Miscommunication,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fine. We're more than welcome. I'm
Okay.
not seeing this taking that long a time. Does any of the committee members have any issue with waiting?
Not at all.
Okay.
okay.
Thank you.
So just to keep things moving along.
Yep.
Go
I
ahead.
would just rather it not continue on until he gets here because
R-
we're gonna have to go over this all over again.
Right.
Yeah, no, we'll see what other, we'll see what other.
Understood. So,
Right.
so what I would advise you to do, Patrick, is to table the continued discussion
Mhm.
for this until later on this meeting. I believe we have other business items that we can
Yep.
attend to. In the
I thought this
meantime-
was the only thing on the agenda tonight.
We have regular meeting minutes from the 25th, and then
Okay.
commissioner and public comments. So nothing else in the way of
Just housekeeping.
applications.
Okay,
Just housekeeping, correct.
yeah. How did this end up turning into just being a Zoom meeting when, you know,
So
last
I
minute?
was
I'm just,
so the land use department and staff, including myself, we are following quarantine protocol that
Sure.
was given to us from the director of public health pertaining to COVID-19.
so are all meetings going to be Zoom meetings from now on?
It's not our intent. Our intent would be to return to in-person meetings as soon as possible.
No, I'm asking, you know, because this one was turned into a Zoom meeting. Are they all going to be like tomorrow's meetings and all the other meetings?
I don't think we could answer that at this point for a future, but the intent is not to have them all Zoom. The intent, at least, you know, speaking, you know, in my place on the board would be to have in-person and Zoom meeting at the same time. But again, as I'm sure you're aware with this whole pandemic, you know, we don't know how to, you know, it all plays out. So the intent is to have a combined meeting whenever possible, Zoom and combination of in-person.
So this was decided at what time, David?
The meeting for it to go to
Zoom.
Zoom.
Yeah,
Um,
because
We-
you have my email and you have Tim's email and he didn't get it until, you know, he like I say, he just showed up at the municipal center. I didn't
understood.
get
Like,
it and, you know,
Yeah, I
understood.
got that.
Like,
So-
Got it on the 22nd.
well,
we didn't.
All right,
so
Dave, let me
so
stop
the
you right there,
invitation
please.
that you're talking about, Pat, that is just a reminder for us that we have a meeting on Monday.
Okay.
Like I had said, Laurel, the update that we were going to do this meeting by Zoom, that was sent to Tim and Jim McManus this afternoon.
Okay, and
Okay.
they've let me just stop the discussion there. Really don't want to get into the whole timeline on this right now. I mean, again, if we could not wait or make accommodations, I would, but at this point, absolutely.
I have no problems making accommodations. So
yeah,
let's
absolutely. So
go
at
through.
this point, you know, we'll hold for Mr. Draper to join us. Absolutely understand
Okay.
the commit.
Right.
It's
So
just a
let's
concern.
go
So
through. I
The next
believe.
thing on the agenda would be, I believe the special meet. And so, do I have to make a motion to move this?
No, I
Okay.
think you would just say, Patrick, that we're tabling discussion
All right. so
until later
obviously-
on in the meeting. So we're
All right,
going
so-
to.
Obviously, we're going to table this discussion till later on in this meeting when all parties concerned could be present. So the next item on the agenda is in the Wetland Commission special meeting minutes. Sorry about that. From 5/9/2022.
Those are regular meeting minutes, Pat, from June 27th.
All right, because it does say special meeting minutes. So.
Are you looking at the right agenda?
Okay, maybe. Yeah, it must be. June 20, regular meeting agenda. No, I'm sorry. I am looking at the wrong agenda.
No worries. So,
right.
So your next agenda item is
Thank
regular meeting minutes from June 27th.
Okay. So I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from June 27th. Thank you, Dave, for correcting me.
Not a problem.
Second.
Okay, I didn't hear a second. Can I ask who seconded that so Mary can make
Kevin
it?
Seaman, second.
That was Kevin. Any discussion?
Okay. All those in favor of approving, please by signals by saying aye and raising your hand if you're on camera.
Aye.
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 Will that work, Dave, or do you need individual ayes?
No, that'll work.
Okay, all those against?
You can
Awesome.
abstain because I wasn't there.
And then abstaining would be Danielle.
That's correct.
Thank you, Danielle.
Yep.
Okay. Dave, you got anything else on the agenda there? Again, I apologize. I pulled up the wrong agenda quickly. At least you know
No, not a problem. In terms of staff comments, I have little in the way of them at the moment. I will say there are some applications that you guys may be receiving over the coming months, but they are still in the preliminary phase at this point. I'll give you guys further updates on whether or not pre-application meeting would be held for those when the date gets closer. In terms of other items, enforcement or anything else of that nature, I don't have any updates at this time.
Okay, great. I see Mr. Draper has joined us. Tim, do you need a couple of minutes or?
No, I just got here.
Okay,
I figured I just took a tour of the town hall.
All right, so Dave, I'm going to move the application. I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull it up again. 7 and 9 Good Hill Road to be discussed at this time.
Right. So as I was saying earlier, and I will pull up my screen again. So the onus was left on Land Use Department staff from our last regular meeting on June 25th for me to reach out to the expert that you guys have procured services from in the past. Her name is Cynthia Rabinowitz. She is a soil scientist and a wetland scientist with the Northwest Conservation District. She has prepared a third-party review, which is going to be showing up on your screen shortly regarding the ex post facto activities that took place at 7 and 9, Good Hill Road. As I had said before, the nitty gritty of what this says, I don't want to get into it because, most of this, if not all of this work has already been done, and you only asked Cynthia to affirm the findings from the applicant soil scientist, Jim McManus. The most important phrase that comes out of this letter is the last paragraph, and I quote, "In my opinion, the change in location of the driveway will not have significant adverse short or long-term impact on the inland wetland resources." And end quote. And when she says inland wetland resources, she is referring to the off-site regulated wetlands areas that are on 7 Good Hill Road. They are the wetland systems to the north of the subject property. To continue, I quote, "I recommend no further encroachment occurs into the natural area to ensure continued density of the woodlands, providing riparian buffer functions," end quote. So in essence, it's the work has been done. What is there now isn't going to adversely impact any wetlands that are off-site. And in order for there to not be any adverse impact, things have to stay the way they are. So there can be no further encroachment pertaining to this driveway made in the direction of that regulated wetlands area. I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have on this, but it's pretty straightforward.
Yep.
So,
Mr. Draper, have you received a copy of this letter?
Yeah, I seen it. It's
Okay.
pretty much, says pretty much what my soil scientist said also. No long-term or short-term adverse effects. So
Yep.
pretty much said exactly what Jim McManus said from my understanding.
Okay, and Tim, that's all seeded now. I did drive by there a couple of weeks ago.
So it's been seeded, but obviously we're lacking some rain.
Okay. All right. Is the grass growing or is it basically burnt at this point?
No, it's growing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You're
And
lucky
you-
There's a conservation mix on there.
Yep.
So conservation mix will grow in just about anything.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. And do
Oh, yeah.
you plan on basically you're done working on that slope at this point, correct? There's no other.
We've been done. Quite frankly, Pat, I didn't think this should have been something that was done in-house. This is my opinion. Basically having, Cynthia Rabinowitz from Northwest Conservation District. I mean, to me, what that did, that kind of just, says that whatever Jim McManus had wrote really didn't make a difference until until the outs. I'm just giving you my opinion.
No,
you guys
absolutely.
can think whatever
I
you want.
appreciate that. That was something that I had requested just because I'm not an expert on it either, and I hadn't gone out there.
No, and listen, I'm not either, right? And that's why I hired an expert, and I hire experts.
Yep.
But just so you know, your commission, if I see this in the future, I'm going to be requesting this as a taxpayer of Bethel. I think we kind of overstepped our boundaries a little bit, which happens a lot.
Okay. Dave, can you take down the letter now, please? That's all.
oh yes, my apologies.
Sorry. No problem.
And the only other,
sorry.
Pat, the only other thing I want to say that the gentleman's not on here tonight. He's the big fella that was sitting next to you. And he had said something to the nature of, like I'm asking for forgiveness. I'm not asking for forgiveness. This was unintentionally grading on to the neighbor's property that we had an agreement. The unintentional part was grading closer to the wetland. And it's not even the wetland, it's the intermittent water course, which is stormwater that's untreated coming off of Good Hill Road, dumping into the wetlands.
It's still
hold on, let me finish. So, and I did say this at the last meeting, if it's going to keep, if it's going to get nitpicky and everything like this, the town of Bethel put drainage system between two of my properties and dumping it into wetlands, untreated. So when I see all these developments that come up, and it's come up on Good Hill when we were in wetlands 2.5 years ago, and as well, because you were sitting there, that Mr. McCullum was asking for one of these, I can't think of the name of it, but it's basically a recharger in the ground to separate this, that, and the other thing, So it's okay for the town to dump water on people's private property into wetlands, but now a developer, which would never leave the property, has to treat it. We got to get our stuff straight. We're all taxpayers in this town. I've lived in this town my entire life, as well as my wife. We pay a lot of taxes, just like everybody does. And everybody knows what I do. I'm a straight shooter, but what's fair is fair.
No,
I've been
absolutely.
thinking about this. I've been thinking about this since the last meeting. And quite frankly, it ticked me off a little bit.
Okay. No, and I
All right.
appreciate your comments. I mean, obviously, I can't speak to anything that was done prior to when I was on the commission or anything. I can tell you that, any projects that have come before us, we hold to the same standard, be it town or any developer or homeowner doing thing. We do keep it to the same filtration, the same standard across the board.
Well,
I can't comment to what was there prior or anything to that point.
Can I speak to something, Pat, please? Can I say something? Nicholas Jordan in Watkins, excuse me, guys. Hi. Just because something was done, Mr. Draper, just because something was done poorly in the past does not mean that we're okay to sign off on it to go ahead now. Right? You agree with that?
Absolutely. Well, what was poorly? The town stuff or what we did?
It sounds like it in your opinion. I don't know. It happened before.
I'm sorry, what?
In your opinion, yeah, it sounds like that was done incorrectly, which, you know.
Mr. Chairman, before this conversation derails farther from
It will derail.
what we are discussing here tonight, I would say we need to focus on.
No, absolutely. All right.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
Let's go back to the modification. Let's get this completed. You know, Tim, I appreciate your comments and your input. Thank you for that. All right.
I believe Danielle had a question before we head into that.
I was going to ask if any committee members have questions or comments.
Thank you. I did, but then you addressed it, Pat. So thank you. It's covered.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
So I didn't see your hand go up, or
you addressed it. We're good.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else has any questions or comments?
Not here. It's very straightforward.
Yep. Okay. All right. Dave, I do have a question.
Yes.
In this conversation, I don't see a problem with approving this or the next step of this. So I know this is like an amendment to a previous application. Or is there anything that needs to be done at this point? Approval, or is this just like?
Yeah, you guys need to make a motion to vote that this modification of a previous approval is acceptable and conforms to the inland wetlands regulations.
All right, so
be that as the work is ex post facto, I don't know what conditions you could craft apart from what Cynthia has provided in your letter that you guys need to embellish on that decision.
So let's just keep it simple. I make a motion that we approve this. You could use the terminology better suited, but the work that was done after fact, it does comply with inland wetlands standards. It has no adverse effects on the wetlands. And I would say the one stipulation is no additional work is completed close to the wetlands. If so, it has to come in front of the board again, which applicant stated he's not doing any more work, so it should be fine. Will that work wording wise?
Yeah, I'm going to embellish it just a little bit.
I'm sure you will, sir.
If you don't mind, I'm sorry. Just so that it's consistent with the past approvals that you guys have issued. So I would advise that you would vote on a resolution of approval for this modification of a previous approval that's in conformance with your inland wetlands regulations. You guys can use your reasons 1 through 3 that I always cite when you guys make your decisions, because Cynthia stated that there's not going to be any adverse impacts, correct?
Yes.
And the one additional condition that you would want added, Pat, unless the other commissioners don't think it's necessary, would be no additional work would be conducted in close proximity to the off-site regulated wetlands area on 7 Good Hill Road.
Mary, you get all that?
I got it.
Thank God it's recorded. Is there anyone that would like to second that or change it?
I second.
Second
Kevin
from
Seaman.
Kevin. Is there any more discussion to be had? Okay, same thing as before. If you could signal by saying your vote by raise a hand and verbal. So all those in favor signal by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those against signal by saying nay. And then we have anyone abstaining. Okay, so it looks like it's approved.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Draper.
Hey, Pat, what I'd also like to do is reach out to your commission and invite them to take a drive down the driveway at 9 Good Hill and see what that project came out and how it looks.
Absolutely.
And just so you can see it.
Yep.
You know, we're conscientious builders in Bethel, you know, besides, you know, what some other people may say,
yep.
You know.
And I think it's important for commission members to do that. especially if they were on the commission while this was going through, so they could visually see from a piece of paper to actual layout what it looks like.
And I mean, we all, listen, we're all Bethel people here, right?
Yep.
We all have Facebook. We all see what's going on in town right now. Okay. So this is really it's a smart thing for you guys to do is to see it. And I wish I actually wish the planning commission does it too. I mean, we're just about there, but feel free to drive down the driveway, have a look, walk around and see how it looks. And I think you'd be pretty impressed with how an 8-30G property actually looks in the neighborhood.
Yep. Appreciate the invite. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. Good night.
Thanks a lot.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
Okay. I think we were at commission comments where we last left off there, Pat.
Yep. So I believe you said you have no commission comments, Dave?
I have no staff comments.
Do we have any from the commission?
I have a question.
Miss Pat.
If we took a ride down there, do we have to go 2 or more, or could I just take a ride myself?
Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. If you go 2 or more, it's actually considered a meeting. So
3 is your quorum.
All right. So two
if
or
you
less
guys
you go.
Yeah, if you guys decide to go in pairs, not a problem. I would say if you guys do decide to do that, just let me know so I can keep track of who is going and when. And then furthermore, I can coordinate with the owner of the property as to when you guys would be there. I mean, sure, there's an open invitation, but I think it's just courtesy that you guys.
People are living there already, so yes.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
If I can add something on that line, not on this property, but the Pond View property that's being currently built, that's making an establishment that's having all of that work done in the back with the customized drainage system. That's something that I would be interested in seeing if we can schedule a way to see that, you know, upon completion, or at least when that part of the project is completed. I think that'd be useful for me.
Absolutely, not
yeah,
a problem.
I agree.
I think the applicant would be very receptive to having you guys out there. Of course, I don't know where they are with their construction phasing at the moment, so I wouldn't want you guys to go out there while it isn't safe. So
not too far
there is
in. Okay. No, well, I'm literally across the street. I'm across the street very often. I have we pick up my grandmother from Maple Woods, and my aunt is has the property across the street, and we have dinner there like once every week or 2.
Oh, okay.
So, but I haven't gone on the property and like looked at it, but I see the progress all the time. They're staring at it every day. So.
Kevin, did I hear correctly? You want to walk in that property, and then we're all going to your grandmother's house for dinner, or the house across the street for dinner?
Oh, listen, my you want that? My aunt is the best chef that I know.
I'm sure she is.
Let me tell you, like, there's a reason I go there for family dinner.
Dave, can you reach out to the applicant to see if we can schedule something like that with them, please?
Not a problem. I would advise, unless you guys want to do this under a special meeting, that you guys would have to follow the same guidelines that you would going out to 9 Good Hill. You know, 1, 2 at a time. Any more than 3 or more is a quorum. So,
Dave, I almost think if we don't do a special meeting, they definitely have to let the builder or the applicant know.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
It's a construction site.
Yeah. So my intent would be tomorrow. I will, or as soon as tomorrow, I will reach out to the Steiners. I believe they're building or developing that property for the father of that business. And I'm sure he would be happy to, you know, give access to you guys on the site if there is a date or a time that works best for you guys, and vice versa. I'll let you guys know. I'll be the go-between for that. And then when I have a date for you, I'll let you guys know.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Perfect.
Great suggestions. Any other comments or questions from the committee? I do not see any. Dave, do you see any, or speak up if anyone does?
I don't.
Okay. I just want to know, our next meeting is when?
Our next meeting, that is a great question. Thank you for asking, Pat. I believe our next meeting, we pushed up our next meeting because we tried to be cognizant of holiday scheduling. I believe our next meeting is Monday, August 8th.
Okay.
So that's 2 weeks from today.
Yep. Believe you are correct. Okay.
Oh, wait, hang on a
Go
second.
ahead, Pat.
The Connecticut primaries are the 9th, so I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. So
Right.
I get the polling station, so I won't be able to go to that one. That's the day before
Right.
the primaries.
Okay.
Right, and this keeps back into what I had said earlier this meeting. We don't have anything that you guys would have to accept at that meeting at this time.
Yep.
So that meeting very well may be canceled.
Okay.
Yep. But Pat,
And if
thank you for letting us know.
Yeah.
Okay.
If that is the case, you know, if whether we have business that you guys have to accept, or if the meeting gets canceled, I will let you guys know as soon as possible. The latest would be Friday the 5th, just because we're allowed to accept new materials up until that date.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So we'll keep an eye out for either agenda or cancellation for that date.
Yep, that's correct.
All right,
Okay.
cool.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Second,
Okay. All those in favor,
Sorry,
signify by
who
saying aye.
seconded that?
That was Danielle.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Sorry.
All those in favor of adjourning, signify by saying aye.
Hi.
Aye.
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 All against? Ayes have it. All right. Appreciate it, everyone.